Nung 9 na taong gulang ako, may malinaw akong memorya ng boses ng tatay ko. Pero hindi yung klase ng boses na gusto mong maalala. Yung boses na tuwid, maikli, parang laging may deadline. Ayusin mo, bilis, huwag kang umiyak, tumahimik ka. Sa bahay namin, ang tahimik ay hindi peace. Ang tahimik ay rule. Hindi siya masamang tao sa definition na madaling i-label. Hindi siya yung nanakit ng kamay. Hindi rin siya yung lasenggo na araw-araw. Pero may ibang klaseng bigat yung taong present sa bahay pero absent sa puso. And I know that sounds dramatic pero iyon lang talaga ang pinakatamang description. Kaya nung bata ko, natuto akong mag-function sa paligid niya na parang may invisible line. Di ako sumisigaw, di ako masyadong nagtatanong, di ako masyadong humihingik. Ang kailangan ko lang gawin ko. Kapag mali, sisigawan. Kapag tama, tahimik. Walang good job. Walang I'm proud. Walang I'm happy for you. Parang normal lang dapat. Ang nanay ko ang naging translator ng emotion sa bahay. Siya yung may soft voice. Siya yung marunong magtanong ng kumusta ka na hindi interrogation. Pag may report card, siya yung unang tumitingin, siya yung unang ngingiti, siya yung unang magpapaluto ng paborito ko. Tapos sasabihin niya, sabihin natin kay Papa, parang may procedure. At lagi kong napapansin yung timing. Pag andun si Papa, parang bumababa ang volume ng mundo. Pag wala siya, humihinga kami. Hindi ko alam kung saan niya nagsimula yun o sa amin, pero by the time na kaya ko nang intindihin, established na yung sistema. May mga taong magtatanong, bakit hindi mo siya kinausap? The honest answer is, kahit bata pa ako, ramdam ko na kapag ako ang nag-approach, ako ang talo. Hindi dahil masama siya, kundi dahil hindi niya alam paano tumanggap ng lambot. Parang allergic siya sa vulnerability. So, I learned to stop offering it. Nung nina ko may event sa school, recognition day, hindi ako valedictorian pero may award ako something small but big sa bata. Most improved sa English. I remember that day kasi nakaplant sa utak ko yung image. Ako sa stage, maliit, medyo pawis, hawak yung certificate na parang diploma. Tapos bumaba ako, hinanap ko sila sa crowd. Nanay ko lang ang nakita ko. Nakatayo siya, pinipigilan yung luha, nakasmile na proud, tumayo siya para yakapin ako. Pagkatapos, tinanong ko, nasan si Papa? Ang sagot niya, may trabaho, anak, bawi siya, bawi. That word was a promise na paulit-ulit pero laging delayed. Pag-uwi namin, I tried pa rin. I placed the certificate sa mesa na parang evidence. Humarap si Papa, tumingin ng mabilis, tapos sinabi lang, okay, wala nang follow-up, walang tanong, walang I'm proud of you, wala. Sa isip ko, yun yung moment na nag-commit ako sa isang silent contract. Kung hindi ko maririnig sa kanya yung words, hahanap na lang ako ng ibang paraan para mabuhay. Hindi siya grand vow. It was quiet, practical, like survival. From that day, nag-aim ako for achievements pero hindi dahil gusto kong patunayan sa kanya. More like gusto kong patunayan sa sarili ko na may value ako kahit walang validation. And yes, may part na umaasa pa rin. You can call it denial or hope. I call it being 9. Lumipas ang taon. High school. College. I did well. I learned to speak in presentations, to write essays, to keep it together in interviews. Sa labas, kaya kong maging confident. Sa bahay, balik ako sa pagiging maingat. Parang dalawang identity. Yung isa professional, yung isa anak na laging hindi sure kung may karapatan siya sa space. Si Papa, consistent, provider, bills paid, food on the table, project sa bahay, maayos. Pag may problema sa plumbing, present siya. Pag may problema sa feelings, wala. Pag nagkamali ako, mabilis ang reaction niya. Pag nagtampo ako, sinabihan akong sensitive. Pag umiyak ako, tinanong niya kung ano ba raw ang ipinag-iiyak ko. So I stopped crying in front of him. That sounds simple, pero it changes you. You start storing emotions in places na hindi dapat. In my case, sa lalamunan, sa dibdib, sa likod ng mata, tinatawag nilang lump in the throat. I didn't have the words then but I had the feeling. At naging normal yung distance. Hindi kami nag-aaway araw-araw. Wala ring dramatic confrontation. It was more like a cold room you learn to live in. You keep your jacket on. You don't complain. You just move carefully. Then, something happened na I didn't anticipate. I started becoming an adult who could choose distance. Hindi na ako bata na dependent. When you realize that, may shift. Yung takot, nagiging control. Yung longing, nagiging decision. After graduation, I moved out. Not far, but far enough. I told myself practical reasons. Commute, work, independence. Totoo naman. But there was also emotional logic. I wanted a home where my voice didn't feel like an offense. From that point, our relationship turned into polite updates. Kumusta? Okay. Kain ka na? Oh, holiday greetings. Birthday greetings. Sa totoo lang, may panahon na gusto kong i-cut off. I don't mean aloud I'm done. I mean quiet disappearance. Because I thought, if he never made room for me when I was small, why should I keep showing up as an adult? Pero, may complication. Nanay ko. She stayed as the bridge. She didn't force reconciliation, pero she kept the thread alive. Pag tumatawag siya, I answered. Pag nag-aaya siya, I came. She never spoke ill of him. She just tried to soften the world. Then, 2 years ago, nagkasakit si mama. Hindi ako maglalagay ng detailed diagnosis dito, not because I'm hiding the truth, but because hindi ako doctor. What I can say is it was serious, it progressed, and it required hospital visits, tests, and decisions. Noong una denial, baka pagod lang, baka stress. Pero dumating yung day na sinabi ng doctor in a calm voice na kailangan naming maghanda. I remember sitting sa hallway ng hospital. Yung tunog ng gulong ng stretcher, yung beep ng monitors, yung chatter ng nurses. You can't escape that environment. And there, for the first time in a long time, nakita ko si Papa na walang armor. Hindi siya umiiyak, hindi siya breakdown. Pero his shoulders looked heavier, his eyes looked tired in a way I hadn't seen. Parang may biglang nag-appear na crack sa concrete. He was there every day, on time, paying for things, talking to staff, signing papers. And I realized something na masakit. He is excellent in crisis logistics, but still lost in emotional conversation. He was doing what he knew. In fairness, hindi siya nagkulang sa effort. The problem was, effort does not automatically become closeness. You can stand beside someone and still be miles away. One afternoon, habang si Mama tulog, lumabas kami ni Papa sa waiting area. I was holding a plastic cup of vending machine coffee. He had water. Wala kaming masabi. Yung silence namin, familiar. Parang lumang uniform na suot mo kahit hindi nakasya. Then he said, "Kumusta trabaho mo?" It was a standard question. Safe, neutral. I answered in English. Kasi pag emotionally loaded yung topic, English is my shield. It's fine. Busy. He nodded. Mabuti. Tapos tahimik ulit. I wanted to ask him, bakit niya lang magtatanong? Pero hindi ko kaya. I didn't want to start a fight in a hospital. I didn't want to make my mother's illness about my childhood wounds. I kept my mouth shut. But inside, there was a pressure. Parang steam sa loob ng kettle. It builds quietly. Later that night, I went home and I wrote in my notes app, I don't want to regret silence. I didn't know what I meant, but I knew I was nearing a point. Fast forward, the day of a procedure. Again, I won't specify details. The point is, it was one of those days where you sign papers that you don't want to sign and you wait longer than you can tolerate. The hospital had that same routine. Nurses moving fast, families sitting still, TVs showing muted news, the smell of coffee, the hum of aircon, everyone pretending they're okay. I went to the chapel area, not for religion debate, not for politics, not for anything public. I went because it was quiet. There were chairs, soft lights, and a simple feeling of, you can sit here without explanation. I sat, I didn't pray in a fancy way. I just asked, in my own words, please, let me do this right. I didn't know, but I felt a need to not waste whatever time was left. When I came out, I saw my father in the hallway, alone. His phone was in his hand but he wasn't using it. Parang prop lang. He looked older than I remembered. It's a strange thing to notice your parents' age. When you're a kid, they're permanent. When you're adult, you see the fragility. He said anak. He rarely called me that in a soft way. Usually, hoy, or my name, sharp. Now it was quieter. I stopped. Pa, he hesitated like he was searching for a file in his mind and the cabinet was stuck. Then he said, "Pasensya na." I blinked. "Para saan po?" He swallowed. "Maraming bagay." That could have been the opening. I could have pushed, I could have asked for specifics, I could have demanded a full statement, but we were in a hospital. My mother was on a bed behind the door. The world was already heavy. I chose to keep it simple. I said, "Okay lang po." He shook his head like he disagreed with my forgiveness. "Hindi, hindi okay." And then he went quiet again. We stood there, two adults with decades of unsaid words between us, and I thought, if we don't say it now, when? So I asked, in a controlled voice, "Pa, bakit po parang lagi akong kulang noon?" He looked at me. His eyes were wet, but he wasn't crying. He said, "Hindi ka kulang." I waited. I didn't interrupt. I didn't soften it. I just let him feel the silence. He continued, "Ako ang kulang." That was the first time he said something like that. Not indirectly, not as a joke, not as a lecture, a plain statement. I didn't know what to do with it. My throat tightened. I felt 9 again, holding a paper, wanting one sentence. He looked away, then back at me, and said it. Finally, the sentence. "Anak, I'm proud of you." No shouting, no performance, just that. And my body reacted before my mind. Parang may bumukas na lock sa dibdib ko. I felt my eyes burn. I wanted to say thank you. I wanted to say too late. I wanted to say why now. I wanted to say everything. But what came out was, matagal ko pong hinintay yan. He nodded. Alam ko, that alam ko hurt more than the original absence. Kasi it means he knew. All those years he knew. Maybe he didn't know how. Maybe he didn't know when. But he knew it mattered. I asked quietly, "Bakit ngayon?" He exhaled like he was releasing something toxic. Kasi natatakot ako. Baka mawala si mama tapos wala na akong chance ayusin. The honesty was blunt, not poetic, not cinematic in words. But it was cinematic in feeling. Because it landed like a scene you didn't expect to be in. After that, we didn't suddenly become close. I want to be clear, one sentence does not erase 20 years. Hindi ito movie na hug, fade to black, happy ending. Real life is more procedural. But the sentence did something. It moved a wall. Not removed, but moved. We went back to the waiting area. We sat. We waited. He asked if I ate. I said yes. He offered food. I accepted. That sounds small, but in our language, offering food can be the safest form of care. When the doctor came out, we listened together. He asked questions. I took notes. We functioned as a team for my mother. For the first time, it didn't feel like I was just assisting him. It felt like we were jointly responsible. Later, I went into my mother's room. She was awake, weak, but conscious. She smiled. I held her hand. She asked, "Nandito si Papa?" I said, "Oh." She nodded like she expected that. Then she looked at me and said, "Okay kayo?" I hesitated. I didn't want to lie. I didn't want to overshare. I said, "Nag-uusap na po kami." She closed her eyes, and a tear slid down the side of her face. She didn't wipe it. She didn't say more, but her face looked lighter. Parang may natapos na obligation. Days passed. Hospital life is repetitive. Monitoring, medication, rounds, paperwork, updates. In the middle of that routine, my father and I started having short conversations that were not just logistics. One evening, he said, "Nung bata ka, ang hirap ko bang kasama?" I answered honestly, "Opo." He winced. "Bakit hindi mo sinabi?" I almost laughed, not because it's funny, but because the question itself shows the gap. "Pa, bata po ako. Takot po ako sa inyo." He nodded slowly. "Alam ko." Again, that word. He said, "Akala ko pag matigas ako, magiging handa ka sa mundo." He looked down. "Hindi ko naisip na magiging handa ka nga, pero mawawala ako sa'yo." That sentence is not perfect. It's not an apology with all the right terms. But it's a recognition of harm. And sometimes, recognition is the first lawful step toward repair. I asked, "Bakit po kayo ganun?" I didn't ask to blame. I asked because I needed to understand, like gathering facts. He said, ganyan din tatay ko. He paused. Mas malala. Then he added, hindi ko sinasabi para magpakaawa. Sinasabi ko kasi, yun lang alam ko nun. I appreciated that he clarified it wasn't an excuse. It was context. I replied, pero iba na po tayo ngayon. He looked at me. Oh. Then, after a moment, he said, tulungan mo ako. Imagine hearing your father ask for help, not with bills or repairs, but with being human. It was unsettling. It was also relieving kasi it means he's not treating change as humiliation. He's treating it as work. I said, sige po, pero step by step. He nodded. Step by step. My mother got discharged eventually. Recovery was slow. There were days she looked okay, days she looked fragile. Home felt different. The house was the same, but the atmosphere changed because we were forced to be present. We created a schedule for care, who will drive, who will buy meds, who will accompany checkups. We kept it formal, almost contractual. It worked. It reduced friction. It protected my mother from tension. There was one morning when my father cooked lugaw. Simple, not perfect, medyo malapot. But he cooked. He served my mother first. He told her, kain, not kumain ka, just kain softly. Now he was learning a new dialect, slowly. Still, there were lapses. One day, I forgot to buy something. He raised his voice, the old tone. My body reacted immediately. I froze. My chest tightened. Then I saw him pause. He stopped mid-sentence. He took a breath. He said, quieter, sorry, stress lang. It wasn't a perfect repair, but it was repair. I replied, okay po. Then I added, pero sana wag yung sigaw. He nodded. Sige. These are small exchanges. They don't look impressive, but they are evidence of change. A month after, my father asked if we could have coffee, just the two of us. That request in itself felt like a new chapter. We met in a quiet place. No music too loud, no crowd. Just a table, cups, and time. He started with something formal. May gusto akong sabihin. I said, sige po. He took out a small envelope. Inside was my old certificate, the most improved one. Naka-plastic pa, slightly yellowed edges. I stared at it, bakit nasa inyo to? He said, kinuha ko noon. Hindi ko alam bakit. He looked ashamed. Siguro gusto ko rin, pero hindi ko alam paano ipakita. My throat tightened. I remembered 9-year-old me placing it on the table like evidence. And here it was, years later, returned like a delayed acknowledgement. He continued, hindi ko sinabi na proud ako noon. He looked straight at me, pero nakita ko. I asked, bakit hindi niyo sinabi? He answered, kasi kapag sinabi ko, parang bibigay ako. He shook his head. Mali. Then he said, carefully, as if reading a statement, I regret that. Simple, legal, clear. I didn't cry there. I didn't want to make it heavy. I just nodded and said, salamat po. He held his cup and said, natatakot ako na hindi mo ako mapatawad. I answered honestly, hindi po ganun kadali. He nodded. Alam ko. Then, I added, pero mas okay na po tayo ngayon kaysa dati. He breathed out, relieved. Oh. We sat in silence. Not the old silence. This one was calmer. It didn't feel like punishment. It felt like two people sharing a quiet room without needing to defend themselves. I'm 29 now. That sentence, I'm proud of you, arrived late. There's no denying that. There's also no denying na may damage na. I have patterns. I overwork. I struggle to ask for help. I feel uneasy receiving compliments. Sometimes I hear praise and my first thought is, what's the catch? Those are not abstract issues. They show up in real life. Relationships, friendships, work. But here's the part I want to share, without drama farming. When a parent says the right sentence too late, it does not erase the past, but it can change the future. It can prevent the same silence from repeating. It can stop a family from becoming purely transactional. I'm still careful. I still keep boundaries. I don't suddenly trust everything. For the avoidance of doubt, forgiveness is not a blank check. It's not a waiver. It's a process with conditions, consistency, accountability, and respect. My father is trying. That matters. Not because he deserves applause, but because effort is the only thing that can build something new. Sometimes I replay the moment in the hospital hallway. Not because I want to romanticize it, but because it's proof that people can change when confronted with consequences. The consequence wasn't punishment, the consequence was time. The possibility of losing my mother, the possibility of dying with things unsaid. When I think about 9-year-old me, I feel sad, but I also feel something else. Relief that he finally heard it. Even if late, even if imperfect. If you're reading this and you're a parent who struggles with words, I'm not here to judge you, I'm not here to generalize your life. I'm just stating a fact from my own experience. Words matter. They are not weak, they are not decorative, they are evidence of care. If you're reading this and you're the child who grew up waiting, I'm not here to sell you a fantasy of reconciliation. Not all stories end like mine. Some parents never change. Some children choose distance for safety. Those choices can be valid. All I can say is, in my case, one sentence didn't fix everything, but it opened the door I thought was sealed forever. And yes, I still remember the exact way he said it. Not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet sentence in a cold hallway. Anak, I'm proud of you. I waited 20 years for that. I didn't get it at 9, I got it at 29. And somehow, both versions of me heard it at the same time. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to come back tomorrow for more stories. Once again, I'm Nichon, and I'll see you next time.